We finally have patch notes. Changes and adjustments in version 1.1. There are a lot of changes, so bear with me. It's gonna be a long one. Changes and adjustments in version 1.1. General battle adjustments and changes. The attack hit detection for each reverse action has been adjusted to improve situations where attacks miss. So I'm assuming with that, they're saying that your follow-up when you use your yellow reverse is easier to actually follow up with. I have yet to play the new update or with the DLC character, so definitely let me know in the comments if you guys have a better idea of the breakdowns or if I'm understanding the changes wrong. Adjustments have been made so that almost all characters can continue combos with quick attacks after a break move, which is the grab. So no matter who you are, you can get a quick attack after your grab. I know for a fact that Yoruichi was having a problem with that, and then there were a few other characters that could only follow up with their grab with a heavy attack as well. My boy Kisuke was one of them. You could not follow up with that light attack, so that is a good change there. Increase the amount of guard gauge recovered. Also increase the amount of guard gauge recovered when burst reverse is activated. Speeded up the time it takes for guard gauge recovery to begin. So your guard gauge starts to recover faster when it's low and broken. It also recovers more when you use your reverse action. The soul reverse correction has been relaxed to make it easier to increase combo damage. The multiplier for the amount of spiritual power gained during the effect period has been increased. So this is specifically the yellow reverse. So not only is it easier to combo off of the yellow reverse, but the EX meter that you gain when you do pop your yellow reverse, which I think used to be 33, it has been increased. So you might get a full 50 off of this, which means you can go into your spiritual pressure technique 1, and if you have specific characters, that is amazing. So if you already have 100 or 50 EX built up, you get in that combo, you pop your yellow reverse, you get another 50. Perhaps, let me know. Definitely let me know if it is 50. You get another 50, and then you can extend your combo even further because of that. Harribel comes to mind for sure. And then my boy Kisuke comes to mind with his preferred combo route as well. When using a Reiatsu skill, and what I assume this means is a spiritual pressure technique. So when using a spiritual pressure technique, a cooldown has been set that reduces the amount of EX meter gained. The cooldown can be overwritten by using a reverse action, but if the spiritual pressure technique is used again while a reverse action other than soul reverse is active, the cooldown will be triggered. So if you're in your blue reverse or your white reverse, when you use your spiritual pressure technique again, then the cooldown gets triggered. But if you're in your yellow reverse, it sounds like it doesn't. Very interesting. We'll have to try all these out. The positions where steps appear have been unified for all characters. So I think what they're saying here is the position when you use your flash step. So they either mean a flash step or they mean the dash itself, like when you just press X to move a little bit faster. So that is very interesting. If they mean the dash has been unified for all characters, that's insane. So I hope because some characters should be slower, some characters don't have a lot of range, so their dash should take them a little bit further. I do agree with that, but when it comes to the flash step, I think the flash step should put everybody in the same position. So hopefully that's what they mean there. We've standardized the frames at which you can cancel a parry attack, making it easier to transition into a combo. We've also adjusted the damage recovery time from a parry attack, making it easier to chain combos with a variety of attacks. We've increased the speed at which the reverse gauge recovers when a parry attack occurs. And now when they say parry attack, I don't know if they mean a flash step cancel or like the people that legitimately have counter attacks. Because a lot of people do have counter attacks. I will say a lot of the characters do have counter attacks. So a character like Kiro wouldn't be as naked after he tries to go for his counter. I think Tosen might have a counter. Kisuke has a counter as well. So hopefully what they're saying is they've removed some of the negative frames after you use the counter, and you could possibly cancel out of it by moving or by doing a dash or by doing an attack action. I'm not sure. Game mode adjustments and changes. Rank match and ranking have been implemented in online mode. Shout out to my boy Saint Irving. He has been doing really good in the leaderboards. We were talking about that earlier, but I kind of don't like how the leaderboard works. I like that we do have the different ranks that we can strive for, but I don't like the fact that the leaderboard is based off of like a point system, because at that point it's just really whoever plays the game the longest is going to be at the top of the leaderboard. So if you have a job, or if you like to sleep, or if you have friends, if you bathe, If there's any women or men in your life that love you at all, you're not going to be able to be at the top of the leaderboard. You might be able to have a top rank, but you just won't be able to be at the top of the leaderboard. So that is a little unfortunate, but he was also saying how he likes how it doesn't show the win-loss record. It just shows your score, and your score is what goes up and down based on how you win or lose. So I can definitely see both sides there. The character adjustments and changes, and it looks like they got everybody. So starting at the top, Ichigo Kurosaki. They increased the amount of willpower required for awakening, so it takes longer for him to awaken, get to your sublimation, and get to your spirit drive. So I don't know if that's a nerf or if that kind of does him a favor, because I'm not gonna lie, base Ichigo is really, really, really good. So you can see it both ways. If you prefer to play with him in his awakening state, you can see it as a nerf, but if you prefer to play with him in his base state, you can definitely see that as a buff. And then his signature skill, they added frames where you can cancel the charge action by stepping. So if you step, you can get out of his special skill. I think when you hold down circle or when you just tap circle, that's pretty good. That's actually really good, and that's going to be really, really good for mix. Then in his awakening, his special flash has increased the amount of movement at the start of the move. Okay, pretty good. And then his spiritual pressure technique 1, change the damage behavior, increase damage recovery time. So I don't know if that's hit stun or what, but that's specifically his stronger spiritual pressure technique 1. So when you use his reverse and you have the mask on. Adjustment intention. Taking advantage of the strengthened state during reverse, Kurosaki Ichigo has excellent offense and defense, but unlike other characters, he needs to activate reverse beforehand and then win by playing around again. In this adjustment, we have increased the chances of switching to the offensive by extending the duration of reverse and making the techniques used in playing around easier to use. In addition, the first spiritual pressure technique during awakening, Getsuga Tensho, can be incorporated into combos only during reverse to further increase damage, so you can aim for a powerful combo with just one attack. Okay, I'm glad they gave a breakdown of what they intended to do with the characters after every single character as well. And I'm going to segment the video out, so if you don't want to see all of the breakdowns for the characters, you can go to each specific section for the characters that you want to see for your main and for maybe your worst matchup, so you can see how they have changed as well. Ichigo, wow, this one's big. Ichigo Kurosaki Bankai. His flash strike, increased recovery time, his special flash attack, increased recovery time, increased the guard recovery time while using spiritual pressure technique 2. His unique technique, but the charge version, increased recovery time, can now be canceled with a step only on hit. Okay, that's pretty good. For us, as somebody that doesn't play Bankai Ichigo, that's the perspective I'm reading this from. Unique technique during the second spiritual pressure technique activation. Increased damage dealt. Combo modifiers have been adjusted to reduce the amount of damage dealt when used in a combo. And then his spiritual pressure technique 2, increased gauge cost for each active action. His awakening meter increased the amount of fighting spirit required to reawaken. So they made it harder for him to get into his full hollow mode. His special flash, increased guard recovery time. And then his special skill, by holding the action for a little while, you can prevent unintended fixed in it. What? You can prevent unintended fixed an issue where a charge derivative was occurring. I have no idea what they're trying to say there. Kurosaki Ichigo Bankai has a high level of ability with a large number of easy to use techniques, combo damage, and reversal capabilities through reawakening, but the inhibition of actions by his unique technique, Getsuga Tensho, was particularly strong. Also, if he acquires spiritual power, his spiritual pressure technique 2, Getsuga Matai, can connect high combo damage to soul-destroying techniques, allowing him to go on the offensive from any position. In this adjustment, we have reduced the strength of the technique used in his overall playstyle, making it more difficult to force him to take powerful actions all the time. Dangai Ichigo. Lightning Strike. Reduced damage when end stage is 0. His special flash attack, same thing. And his spiritual pressure technique, same thing. And when final act is 1, we have made an adjustment so that reverse actions cannot cannot be used until the end of the action. Okay, Dangai Ichigo is a character who can decide the game without being bound by the number of souls of his opponent, and becomes more powerful towards the end of the game. In this adjustment, we have suppressed his performance at the start of the game, making it more difficult for him to gain an advantageous position from the beginning. Uryu Ishida St. Irving, one of his mains. Technique 1. Adjustments have been made so that reverse action cannot be used until the action is completed. Technique 2. When a counter hit is confirmed, reverse action will no longer be available until the move is completed. And then Pursuit Walk, increased recovery time. Now, I don't know if they're saying this is applying to him or the person he's hitting them with, so I will have to double check with St. Irving on that one. In his Awakening, his Flash Strike, the attack judgment has been adjusted and the range has been extended. Okay, that's definitely a buff there. And then his Reawakening, his Special Flash in various ways, they reduce the recovery time. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, the attack judgment has been adjusted and the range has been extended. Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, increased damage dealt, and then his launcher, increased recovery time. Although the controls are a little tricky, Ishida Uryu's excellent reach allows him to keep opponents at bay, but he has some restrictions on how he can move around, making it difficult to control the battle situation for long periods of time. With this adjustment, the reach of his flash attack, when awakened, has been extended, making it easier to reach opponents and make the most of his strengths. When reawakened, the stiffness time of his special flash attacks has been reduced, making it easier to maintain a distance and fight. So that's just, they reduced the time he was negative after his special flash attack in Reawakening. Yasutaro Chad Sato. So his quick attack, increased damage recovery time from the final stage. His dash quick attack, increased duration. So I'm assuming they mean his hitbox is more active. His flash strike, the width of the attack detection has been narrowed. His lightning strike, reduced damage dealt, increased damage recovery time, and decreased guard gauge recovery time. His special flash fixed an issue where cancelable frames were slow, adjusted so that it can be canceled into Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 on hit or guard. His special skill increased the number of frames required to reach maximum gauge, reduced damage percentage on hit when not at the base. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, the duration of the slow effect on opponents has been increased the additional damage multiplier, and it can now only be canceled into Special Flash and his grab. And then the Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, the grace period for transitioning to the enhanced version has been increased. And during his Awakening, his quick attack, they increased the attack detection size, so they increased the hitbox size on that one. The frame advantage when hit and guarded has been adjusted to be more favorable, so definitely a buff in his Awakening. They increased the attack detection size of his flash strike, they increased damage recovery time for his special flash attack, and then various steps, they reduced overall recovery time, so I'm assuming this means his dashes. The intention, Chado Yasutora. Chad uses his high durability to charge his special skills, and when the opportunity arises, deals huge damage to aim for a comeback. But he is restricted in his movements, and while he perseveres, he lacks offensive power. With this adjustment, he is now more capable of showing his true worth than before by making his quick attacks and flash attacks easier to use. On the other hand, the charge time required for his special skills and the damage other than the root have been reduced, so you will need to be more careful about how you use them than before. When awakened, if you delay and cancel a special flash attack when it hits, your special skill will hit at the root. So although it is difficult, you can get a big return. So I'm assuming, I don't know what root means, but I'm assuming they're saying you can combo and extend combos better, but you have to actually be good to do it. My boy, Kisuke Urahara, they didn't do too much with him. He's a really good character to begin with. So his Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage. Oh, they nerfed my boys' loops. The Bina Hime loops, they definitely hit them hard. We'll have to do some testing to see how hard they hit them, but oh my goodness, that's insane. His Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, they increased the effect duration. Okay, so when you pop your Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, are you prepared or are you ready, whatever it's called, it lasts longer now, which is very, very good. You love to see that. Kisuke Urahara is a versatile character who is easy to fight with, regardless of distance or opponent, although he has his own quirks. However, the combo damage generated by various Spiritual Pressure techniques was too high, and they mean his Kanasori Binehime, his Spiritual Pressure Technique 1. In this adjustment, the combo correction for Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, Kamasori Binehime, has been lowered, making it more difficult to increase the combo damage. So that disgusting Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 loop that he had and the TLD that he had in Spirit Drive might not exist anymore. The duration of the effect of Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, Are You Ready?, has been extended, making it easier to demonstrate his strengths in combat. Yoruichi Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, on hit, the opponent will be unable to use reverse actions until the action ends. Okay, so that means for the other character, they were Uryu, I think it was, they were specifically talking about him, because here they specify the opponent. Her Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, adjustments have been made so that reverse actions cannot be used until the action is complete. So the same buff for both of her Spiritual Pressure techniques. If you get hit with them, you have to hold that. I'm wondering if you can break out with Awakening though. We shall see. Her Awakening Special Flash Attack. The attack detection has been adjusted and the base detection has been enlarged, so it's going to be a lot easier to land this. We have made adjustments so that you can cancel into your own technique when you are hit or guard while the Shunshin is activated. The attack judgment has been adjusted and the range has been extended for her special technique as well. Adjustment Intention. Yoruichi maintains the tempo by using her speed to her advantage with her rush ability, but due to her low spiritual power, she is prone to allowing a comeback when her opponent gets the chance. With this adjustment, she can now transition from a special flash attack to a combo when she activates Shunshin, so while she remains vulnerable to attacks, she can now more easily exert her strengths with a wider variety of attacks. Renji Abarai. His special flash attack, they reduce the duration of it. The frame advantage when guarding has been adjusted to be unfavorable, and then the frame advantage when hit or guarding during the activation of Spiritual Pressure Technique 2 has been adjusted to be more favorable, so that's a buff on his end. His special skill, increased cancelable time, damage recovery time, and recover time. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, increased the invincibility time at the start of the move, and then his Pursuit Walk fixed an issue where certain inputs would cause the effect to not derive properly. His Awakening, Lightning Strike, reduced duration. Weakening, Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, increased the invincibility at the start of the move, and then the adjustment Intention. Renji keeps applying pressure by using different actions depending on the distance, but the special flash attack at the start of the phase and the ability to suppress his unique skills were a little too strong. In this adjustment, these two actions have been adjusted, making it more difficult to continue the turn from the positioning as before. When using the Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, Soul Vow, the frame difference of the special flash attack is strengthened so it can be used in the same way as before. And then Rukia, her special flash attack, it has been adjusted so that it can be cancelled with swift attacks and flash attacks. Increase the recovery time, and combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage. Her Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, adjustments have been made to prevent counter hits from occurring, added counter hit attribute during recovery time. Her Awakening, unique technique charge version, adjusted so that it can be canceled into a special flash attack, increase damage recovery time, reduce guard recovery time. In her Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage, adjusted so that only Special Flash and Spiritual Pressure Technique 2 can be canceled on hit, adjusted so that it can be canceled with a step only on hit. Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, the slow effect duration that affects the opponent when the third stage occurs has been increased. The recovery time on hit has been increased for the third stage only, and then Soul Destroying Technique 2, reduced recovery time on hit. Adjustment Intention. Although Rukia has short reach, she can fight reliably by using different techniques depending on the distance, but she relies heavily on Spiritual Pressure techniques to show off her strengths, which made her start up slower. With this adjustment, we have strengthened her mid-range play by making it easier to string together combos. Her first Spiritual Pressure technique after Awakening, First Dance, Tsukishiro, is an invincible technique but can also be followed up with a follow-up attack, which put a lot of pressure on her, so we made it a bit risky. It has become harder to deal damage with a single technique, but by using her second Spiritual Pressure technique, Next Dance, Byakuren, it is easier to increase damage than before. And then the man Shuhei, his unique specification. The specifications have been changed to that fear is added when the user uses Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 or 2. Okay, so when you pop your Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 and 2, your fear meter will increase. When you get hit with a Kikon move, it'll increase. When you land a Kikon move, it'll increase. When you awaken, it'll increase. And when your opponent awakens, it'll increase. Good. His special skill, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Is this his protagonist 2M that they're talking about? I'm pretty sure it is. With this, Shuhei is a lot more viable and I might have to pick him up again. His Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, adjustments have been made so that reverse actions cannot be used until the action is completed, so you can't break out of that with any type of reverse. Shuhei is a slow starter whose true value comes from the effects of fear, but there were many situations where the opponent would choose not to use soul-destroying techniques, allowing him to avoid gaining fear and set up the situation. With this adjustment, it will now be possible to actively gain fear, albeit in small amounts, with spiritual pressure techniques, making it easier for Hisagi to demonstrate his strengths even when the soul-destroying state is maintained. Rangiku, and then St. Irving actually sent me a TOD for her. He was saying people are probably trying to keep it under wraps. Rangiku's lightning strike, they reduce the damage, and then her special flash, they increase the recovery time. Special skill, before she awakens, they increase the recovery time, and then on awakening for her special skill, the judgment of the gray area has been increased. Increase the duration of the gray area when using a single press or long press, and increase movement speed of ash areas that follow you or your opponent. So her pressure in awakening is disgusting now. Lightning strike, increased damage recovery time. Spiritual pressure technique 1, we have made adjustments so that when a counter hit is made, it can be canceled into a unique move. Really good there for combo routes. Special pressure technique 2, increased additional damage from ash areas, increased guard chipping amount, and the slow effect duration that affects the opponent has been increased. Adjustment intention, after awakening, Rangiku is a character who maintains an advantage by placing ash and restricting the opponent actions, but the situations in which she can place ash are limited, making it easy for her to be in a suffocating situation for a long time. In this adjustment, we have adjusted her unique skill, Ash Cat Deployment, and her spiritual pressure skill 2, Cat Rondo, to improve Ash's continuity and ease of use. On the other hand, the opening skill's suppressive power was too high, so we have increased the stiffness time. My boy Kira Izuru, Flash Strike, increased recovery time, increased damage recovery time, and guard recovery time. His special flash, we have made adjustments so that the opponent cannot use reverse actions when a counter hit is made. Good. We have made adjustments so that it can be canceled into spiritual pressure technique 1 when a counter hit is made. Good. Increase damage recovery time and change the damage behavior. And then his Thundershock Surprise, when you just press it, adjustments have been made so that it will occur when guarding as well. So that little snap that he does, that'll still happen on block, but because of that, it seems like they reduced the amount of damage it deals, and the minimum guaranteed damage has been eliminated. If you were to use this, I guess in a specific combo, it would give you a minimum amount of damage, but now they've added scaling to it. In his awakening, increased Wabisuke's debuff effect duration. That's really good. So when you have that Wabisuke count activated, it'll last longer on the opponent. So I'm wondering if they still have his Kikon move cheese in there. I guess it's not cheese. I genuinely guess it's not cheese if they still have it in here, but we shall see with more testing. Kira Izuru can increase his Wabisuke count with attacks and finish off debuffs from spiritual pressure techniques, but there were limited times when he could effectively use his Wabisuke count. With this adjustment, we've made it easier to increase the Wabisuke count while extending the duration of the effect, making it easier to aim for the soul-destroying technique. In addition, his unique technique, Hado number 11, Suzuki Raiden, reduces the amount of guard damage more than other actions, making it easier to slowly corner opponents in mid-range battles. Bald-Ikkaku, special flash attack. The initial retreat distance and subsequent forward distance have been shortened. Okay, so this is a definite nerf. You can't jump back or forward nearly as far, and the invincible period at the start of the move has been removed. Okay, so not only has the iframes been removed from this move, but the distance that you travel forward and back has been shortened. In his awakening, with the unique specification, the total amount of the Dragon Crest gauge has been increased, so it'll take longer for him to build up that gauge. Adjustment intention. Ikkaku has the ability to maintain an advantage in his playstyle with a variety of options, and although it takes time, he has the explosive power when awakened to decide the match in one go, but the special flash attack restricts the opponent's action actions too much. In this adjustment, we have adjusted the strength of his playstyle while increasing the total amount of the Dragon Crest gauge when awakened, so it will take more effort to decide the match than before. Next we have Genryu Sai Yamamoto Shigekuni. His unique specification: we have made adjustments so that the hellish flame state will be removed by either hitting the enemy with a Kikon move or receiving one. Quick attack, reduce recovery time from first damage. His spiritual pressure technique 1 various, increase damage recovery time and guard recovery time. Spiritual pressure technique 1 with no charge, reduce recovery time. And then his grab, the Gion gauge will now decrease on hit. His quick attack before awakening, they reduced guard recovery time for the third hit and increased damage recovery time and guard recovery time when in Hellfire state. And then his awakening, quick attack, increase the amount that the flame gauge decreases, increase guard recovery time for the second hit, increase damage recovery time from the third hit and guard recovery time. With his special flash attack, they increase damage recovery time and guard recovery time. With his unique skill, they increase the damage dealt. The attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended, so they expanded the hitbox, reduced the recovery time, decreased the amount that the flame gauge increases, and adjustments have been made so that it can be canceled into Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 and Spiritual Pressure Technique 2. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 various, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended, and they decrease the amount that the flame gauge increases, so some really good buffs there. Yamamoto Genryu Sai Shigekuni, who has overwhelming firepower in exchange for various sacrifices, was a character who would return to fighting even after touching the opponent, leading to difficult situations. In this adjustment, the recovery rate of Gion gauge has been increased, making it easier to use powerful attacks once you can touch the opponent. In addition, the Hellfire state is now released when you hit or are hit by a Kikomi technique, so the risk is reduced compared to before, making it easier to aim for high damage using resources. Soi Fon Flash Strike, reduce the damage recovery time when following up with a unique skill after using it once, and then her unique technique, increased recovery time when refilling. Her awakening, quick attack, increased recovery time for the third hit when using a unique technique twice and then following it up, and then her unique skill, they increase the damage dealt. Adjustment intention, Soi Fon uses her special moves to win the match, but when she uses her special move Dark Sword, that's her Anken, her range of movement is wider than other characters, making it difficult to exploit her weaknesses. In this adjustment, we have increased the recovery time of her special move Refill, so you will need to be more careful with the timing. In addition, we have corrected the recovery time of some actions when using the special move Dark Sword, so you will no longer be able to connect a combo from a quick attack again, so she definitely got nerfed there with a little bit of a buff, but primarily nerfs. Ichimaru Gin skills various, increased damage dealt. His spiritual pressure technique 2, the startup of the move has been slowed down. Awakening, unique specifications. The hitbox has been expanded for dash quick attack, second quick attack, third quick attack, flash strike variant, and special flash attack when in the snake possessed state. Special flash attack, increased damage recovery time when hitting with the tip. Spiritual pressure technique 1, adjustments have been made so that a successful counter can be canceled with a flash attack or step. Okay. That's pretty cool. Ichimaru Gin takes advantage of his long reach to keep his opponents at a distance, but the difficulty of maintaining that distance meant that he was unable to benefit from it. In this adjustment, the judgment of his unique spike has been strengthened to make it easier to hit the tip, while the reward for his unique techniques Godspeed Snake Thrust and God-Eating Dragon and his Spiritual Pressure Technique 1 Empty Thrust have been increased. Sousuke Aizen. At his beginning, the amount of spirit particles has been reduced so you don't have as many when you first start. Unique specifications, the condition required to activate Kyoka Soigetsu has been changed from 100% consumption of reverse gauge, changed to when Hogyoku fusion level is 5, consumes 100% of the reverse gauge. So to use Kyoka Soigetsu, you have to have your fusion level at 5 and you have to have all of your reverse meters. So that is a huge nerf there. And you still have to press L3 and R3. Insane nerf. Special Flash, Waste Flame, increased recovery time. And then Special Flash, Senju Koten Tao, increased recovery time. Cocoon Form, his special flash attack, increased damage recovery time and decreased guard recovery time. In his Awakening, they increased the multiplier for damage dealt and damage received, increase the amount of fighting spirit required to awaken, so it'll be harder for him to awaken and take longer. Unique specifications, they increase the amount of increase in Hogyoku fusion level, so your all spark fusion meter goes up faster. And then his flash strike, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended, so they increase the reach of his hitbox on his flash strike. Reawakening special flash, reduced recovery time. Spiritual pressure technique 1, we have made the adjustments so that it can be canceled from quick attacks and flash combos only on hit. Adjustments have been made so that reverse action cannot be used until the action is completed. Spiritual pressure technique 2, the slow effect duration that affects the opponent has been increased. And then their adjustment intention with this is Aizen has many unique abilities and is difficult to use. No, he's not. But the more time you spend with him, the more powerful he becomes. However, it was easy to force your own fighting style on the opponent throughout the entire match. In this adjustment, by adjusting performance at the beginning of the match, it is difficult to show his true potential in the late game if you are overwhelmed in the early game. But in return, he is more powerful when awakened, making it easier to fight than before. The amount of fighting will required has increased, but when reawakened, we have strengthened his spiritual pressure techniques, making him easier to use. So if you manage somehow to get to his reawakening, you are going even crazier than before. Byakuya Kuchiki, in his awakening, quick attack, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Dash quick attack, the startup has been sped up. Flash strike, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Lightning strike, the increased the number of frames that can be canceled. Own skill, fixed an issue where attack detection was misaligned, increased recovery time. Adjustments have been made so that it cannot be canceled into quick attack or flash attack. At the start of the game, Byakuya Kuchiki uses 2 different forms, and at awakening he specializes in long distance attacks, but his awakening attacks have their own quirks, making him more difficult to fight than at the start of the game. With this adjustment, we've made it easier to land basic attacks on the opponent and increased the opportunities to transition into combos. On the other hand, we've limited the techniques that can transition into combos from his unique technique, Sakura Shigure, which can attack regardless of the opponent's position, so now it's more important to use a variety of attacks to prevent the opponent from narrowing down on the target. Komamura Sajin, skills various, reduced recovery time, increased damage recovery time, added minimum guaranteed damage, adjusted so that it can be canceled into spiritual pressure technique 1. Beginning stage weakening, special flash, increased damage dealt. The damage animation has been changed to a knockback. His spiritual pressure technique 1, the blackout start time has been made earlier. Super armor is now granted on faster frames. Amazing. Awakening, unique skills neutral. The attack box has been expanded, so he's got more range on his hitbox for his neutral unique skill. And adjustment intention. Komamura Sajin is good at powerful fighting using various techniques, but his movements were heavy and it was difficult to go on the offensive. In this adjustment, various unique techniques have been strengthened, making it easier to use powerful actions using Tenkin. In addition, various unique techniques can be canceled with one spiritual pressure technique, which is his first one, making it easier to extend combos. Shunsui, his pre-awakening special flash attack, increased knockback amount on hit and guard. His spiritual pressure technique 1, increased damage dealt, fixed an issue where using this move during a combo would interrupt the combo, and adjustments have been made so that it can be canceled into a quick attack or flash attack combo. Awakening, increased damage multiplier while awakened, increased damage dealt when outside base capture range, increased morale gained when within base capture range, increase the damage required to reach the conditions for demonic destruction, increase the amount of spiritual power gained when winning a speed contest. His special flash attack, we have made adjustments so that you can cancel the move by stepping before it occurs. His spiritual pressure technique 1, increased damage recovery time and guard recovery time. His spiritual pressure technique 2, the duration of the slow effect that only applies to the opponent has been increased. Shunsui uses the special rules of child play to develop unique battles, but the influence of child play was small, making it difficult to influence victory or defeat. In this adjustment, the benefit of child play has been increased, making it easier to gain an advantage when winning a game. Other actions have also been made easier to use, making it easier to win a game with a variety of options. St. Irving's boy Tosen, pre-awakening special flash attack. The initial retreat distance and subsequent forward distance have been increased. Remove the invincibility at the start of the move. Interesting. Increase recovery time. adjusted so that it can be canceled with a step only on hit or guard. That's still good for mixed though. His special skill, the amount of spiritual power gained when a counter hit is successful, has been added. Yes, so they finally made it work properly. I might actually pick up Tosen because of this. Spiritual pressure technique 2, reverse action cannot be used until the action has finished. Good. In his awakening unique specifications, increase the initial area of the visible range. The time it takes for the visible range to reach its maximum area has been shortened. Adjustment intention. Kaname's unique fighting style revolves around depriving the opponent of visual information with his awakening effect, but this is an exceptional ability for a fighting game and has a huge impact. However, this ability is the character's greatest feature, so in this adjustment, we have adjusted the visible range while retaining this individuality, making it easier for the opponent to resist to some extent. Since the ability affects the player and not the game, we intend to continue to be cautious in the future. Trashtain HitsuGARBAGE. Unique specification, increased duration of Heavenly Phase Advent at level 3, quick attack. The dart up of the technique has been made faster. In his awakening, Flash Strike increased the amount that Heavenly Phase Advent gauge increases. Special Flash Attack Various, reduce recovery time, increase the amount that the Heavenly Phase gauge increases. Skill Various, reduce recovery time. The distance at which you can quickly search your opponent has been increased. And then Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, reduced recovery time and adjusted the recovery time when hit and guarded. By repeatedly attacking, Toshiro enters an enhanced state, allowing for more ferocious attacks, but because his reach is short, just like he is, and he has few useful techniques, it was difficult for him to fight in the way he likes. This adjustment makes it easier to maintain the Tensojuden gauge while improving his overall ease of use, making it easier to demonstrate how short he is and his strengths than before. Kenpachi Zaraki. Pre-awakening, his unique specifications. Increased attack power increase when soul is depleted. Lightning Strike, the frame where it can be canceled has been made faster, and Special Flash, increase the damage recovery time and guard recovery time. Awakening Quick Attack, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Special Flash, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. The time period during which you can cancel and accept additional input has been increased. We have made adjustments so that a follow-up action can be canceled with a quick hit when it hits. Increase recovery time for follow-up actions. Own skill, increase awakening meter gain from each attack. An action that derives when an attack is received or when a certain amount of damage is received from an attack. The damage recovery time has been increased and adjustments have been made so that it can be canceled by stepping when hit or guarded. Soul Destroying Technique 2, reduced recovery time on hit. Adjustment intention. The more injured Kenpachi is, the more his firepower increases, and he is a battle maniac who knows no bounds. However, it was difficult to create situations where he could utilize his firepower, and he was prone to struggle against characters with longer reach than himself. With this adjustment, it is now easier to move forward with his special flash attack as the core, and it is easier to grab a chance to display his high firepower. The damage increase effect of his unique feature, Spiritual Pressure Amplification, has also been increased, so even if he starts off late, it will be easier to aim for a comeback in the final stages. Mayuri Kurotsuchi, he had a lot wrong with him. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, increased guard recovery time for the explosion part after hit. The performance has been changed so that detonation actions can only be triggered from certain actions such as Quick Strike and Flash Strike. Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it easier to increase combo damage. So did they not fix Nemu getting stuck? I mean, maybe they did and that's just not something they felt like talking about. I don't know, we'll see. Awakening. Special Flash Attack, increased poison consumption cost. His unique skill, increased damage dealt. His Lightning Strike, increased poison consumption cost. And his Spiritual Pressure Technique 1. The attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Increased damage recovery time for the explosion area after hitting. Adjustment intentions. Although Mayuri is good at gradually expanding his advantage with technical but versatile actions and additional damage from poison, but the benefit of each action from poison was small and his individuality was not fully utilized. Although there are no major changes to the actions used in the game, the consumption cost of poison has been increased to make it easier to deal additional damage. Hopefully they fix that disgusting Nemu bug that literally froze her on screen and you could not call her again. Insane. Kaien Shiba, Flash Strike, increased recovery time. Various skills increase recovery time. And Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, the hitbox has been adjusted to make it harder to hit opponents on the side. Awakening, various skills. The attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Increased recovery time on hit and guard. Adjustment intention. Kaien is a standard type character with few weaknesses, combo power, and invincible techniques, making him easy to fight against any character in a stable match. In this adjustment, the stiffest time of the flash attack and the unique technique Spring Water has been increased, so the risk of missing has increased. Also, when awakened, if you can guard the maximum charge of the unique technique Spring Water, you will be able to gain advantageous frames, and you can shake up the opponent depending on whether or not you input a long press. W changes. Shinji, my boy. Flash derivative, normal time, increased damage recovery time, reduced knockback distance, his spiritual pressure technique 1, reduced recovery time, his spiritual pressure technique 2, when reverse release is performed, increased damage dealt. That spiritual pressure technique 2 hits hard. Very, very hard. Awakening, spiritual pressure technique 1, adjusted Hiyori's attack detection and extended her reach. Adjustment intention. Shinji has many entanglements and can use more powerful actions if he hits his spiritual pressure technique 2, Yokubushi, but although he is stable, he lacks offensive power. In this adjustment, the judgment of spiritual pressure technique 1, it's my turn, has been adjusted to make it easier to continue attacking after capturing the opponent. In addition, if you are in the Yokubushi release state, you can now incorporate it into a combo from a flash attack derivative. Oh, and that boy Stark has some problems too. Coyote Stark. Flash Strike. The startup of the technique has been made faster. His lightning strike increased recovery time. Special flash attack no charge, increased damage and guard reduction. Special flash attack charged, increased damage and guard reduction. Step cancellation is now possible. Increased damage recovery time. His own skill, the time it takes to gain spiritual power has been increased, the recovery time after release has been increased, and his spiritual pressure technique 2, increased dark time. Awakening, flash attack derivative no wolf, increased damage recovery time, unique skills, wolf and neutral, reduced recovery time, increased damage dealt, unique technique during combo, change damage behavior and increased damage recovery time. Step cancellation is now possible, increased minimum guaranteed damage. Soul destroying technique 1, the number of souls destroyed has been changed from 5 to 6. Okay, very, very good. Adjustment intention. Coyote Stark requires completely different fighting styles in the initial stage and awakening, and his powerful actions that cost a lot for each, but he was not getting an appropriate return for the cost he paid, 1000%. This adjustment improves the overall performance in both forms, and while cost management remains a requirement, the actions themselves are easier to use. In the initial stage, you can now transition from a special flash attack with charge to a combo, making it easier to deal damage from a long distance, and when awakened, you can instantly gain Blue Flame Wolf stock, making it easier to use wolf-based actions. There is no change in the fact that souls are used as a cost, so the risk remains high, but the power of Awakened Soul Destroying Technique 1 has increased, making it easier to launch short-term battles. My wife, Tier Harribel, unique specifications. Increase the base amount of aura gauge depletion. The amount of aura gauge that decreases according to the amount of accumulated energy has been increased. A cooldown has been added to the time when the aura gauge starts to decrease. The amount by which the aura gauge decreases depending on your own spiritual power state has been reduced. Decrease the rate at which aura gauge is gained when blocked. Decrease the amount of aura gauge gained from her flash strike. Her lightning strike, they decrease the amount of aura gauge gained. Her special flash, reduced guard chip amount, increased recovery time. Damn, that one hits hard because her special flash attack did really good guard damage and guard chip. Whatever you want to call it. Her own skill, flash button derivative, reduce guard chip amount. Combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage, so it's harder to string things together to combo with her, and they increase the amount of aura gained. Her spiritual pressure technique 1, combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage, and then spiritual pressure technique 2, reduce damage dealt, and adjustments have been made so that reverse actions cannot be used until the action is completed, so you can't bust out of it. Huge nerfs on her pre-awakening right there. That's crazy. I mean, that sounds like pre and post-awakening as well. Beginning, special flash attack, increase the amount of aura gauge gained, and then her awakening special flash attack, reduce the amount of aura gauge gained, and her spiritual pressure technique 1, enhanced state, they increase the amount of aura gauge gained. Tier Harribel's strong attacking abilities depend on the amount of aura gauge she has, but once her aura gauge is full, it is relatively easy to maintain it. In this adjustment, we have increased the amount that the aura gauge decreases, but the amount that it decreases due to remaining spiritual power has been reduced, and a cooldown period has been set before it starts to decrease, so it will be easier to obtain the aura gauge if you continue attacking. Also, when her combo was blocked, she was able to safely start over while reducing her guard gauge by stopping it with a special flash attack. But the time she remains frozen has been increased, making her more susceptible to counterattack. So overall, she got a huge nerf. Ulquiorra. The amount of willpower required for awakening in Savage Soul Ascension has been reduced. So he'll awaken faster, which means he'll get to his reawakening faster. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1. The startup of the move has been slowed down. Beginning, so pre-awakening, his dash quick attack reduced duration. Awakening, his dash quick attack reduced duration, and various skills decrease the amount of spirit particles consumed by the user. So when he uses his Seto after he awakens, it doesn't take away as much health. And then reawakening, dash quick attack, increased duration, so they made it last longer, which means you'll cover more distance. His Seto in reawakening decrease the amount of spirit particles consumed by the user, so you're not using as much health. And then pursuit walk, adjustments have been made so that reverse actions cannot be used until the action is completed. Ulquiorra is easy to fight at any distance, mainly using powerful long-range attacks that use spiritual particles as a cost, but the self-inflicted damage from his unique skill, Void Flash, and spiritual pressure skill, Black Void Flash, was large, making it difficult to gain a physical advantage even if he inflicted damage on his opponent. In this adjustment, the self-inflicted damage after awakening has been reduced, making it easier to use actively. Nnoitra, some common changes. His own skill can now be cancelled into quick attack and flash attack. If you are attacked while gaining block stock, you will lose the block stock. Spiritual Pressure Technique 2. The duration of the slow effect that only affects opponent has been increased. Awakening, unique specifications. Increase the damage dealt by each action when 6 arms is activated. His quick attack, the startup, has been sped up. The attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Lightning Strike, reduced knockback distance. Special Flash, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended, reduced knockback distance. Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. The frames when super armor is applied when there is block stock have been sped up, and the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. The frames when super armor is applied when there is block stock have been sped up for Spiritual Pressure Technique 2. Adjustment intentions. Although the movements are heavy, Nnoitra has a chance to deal a lot of damage once he gets in range, but he is easily attacked from the time he moves around until he gets close, making it difficult to use his strengths. In this adjustment, we have adjusted the attack judgment and knockback distance of each action to make it easier to decide the match with a single chance. In addition, since block stock is now cancelled by receiving an attack, you will need to wait for a chance more than before to ensure that the super armor is activated. Grimmjow Jaegerjaquez. Unique specifications. Increase the amount of impulse gauge gained from taking damage. The attack judgment when entering the catastrophic state has been changed to an unguardable attribute, and increase the size of the attack hitbox when entering the decimated state. Lightning Strike. Increase self-inflicted damage when in annihilation state. Special Flash, increase self-inflicted damage when in annihilation state, and reduce the guard recovery time when you're in that as well. And then his own skill, increase the amount, normal time, increase the amount of impulse gauge gained. When he first starts out, his Special Flash attack, they reduce the damage recovery time and guard recovery time when in a crippled state. And then his Awakening, reduce damage recovery time when in a crippled state on his Special Flash attack. Adjustment intention. Grimmjow Jaegerjaquez has the potential to win a battle in one go with the explosive power of his unique enhanced state, but his ability to sustain an attack using his Special Flash attack was too high. In this adjustment, we have adjusted the stiffness time when in the destruction state or annihilation state to make it more difficult to sustain an attack. On the other hand, the amount of increase in the impulse gauge from his unique skill, Massacre Formation, has been increased, making it easier to maintain the destruction state and fight than before. Then my boy Sizzy, Zayalapero Grants. Unique specifications. Increase the number of spirit bugs planted for certain actions. Yes. The amount of recorded spirit bugs required to complete Spiritual Pressure Unraveling level 2 has been reduced, so you can get to his level 2 a lot faster. His elucidation level 2, his understanding meter level 2, you can get there, whatever it's called, a lot faster. And then the amount of bugs required to reach level 3 has been increased. So you can get to level 2 faster, but it's harder to get to level 3. His special flash attack, combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage and reduce guard recovery time. Own skill, increased damage dealt. Combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage. And then his pursuit walk, fixed an issue where certain inputs would cause the effect to not derive properly. So I'm assuming that this is his flash step follow-up attack, and they stopped that extension where you could, if you had enough reverse meter, you could hold down, I think grab, or I can't remember what the button is that you hold down. You could hold that down to cancel the actual attack from the flash step follow-up attack and continue to extend until you essentially ran out of reverse meter. And it was a guaranteed way to get your, not guaranteed because sometimes the combo would drop with online connection, but it was a really surefire way to get your spirit bugs planted and get that meter level built up and build EX meter so you can use his spiritual pressure technique too. It was really, really crazy tech. In his awakening, various special flash attacks. The attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended. Fixed an issue where follow-up attacks were not comboing when hit. Spiritual pressure technique 1, with his spiritual pressure elucidation level 2 or higher. Combo modifiers have been adjusted to make it harder to increase combo damage. Soul destroying technique 1, increase the duration of puppet shows, Achilles tendon, bicep, and lung destruction effects. Really, really good. Then his launcher, the attack's hitbox has been adjusted and the reach has been extended, so his launcher has a longer reach to it. And then the adjustment intention, Xylopodo Grans uses his unique abilities to bring the fight to a long-term conclusion, gradually building up the situation and aiming to win by persevering. However, it was difficult to raise his spiritual pressure level, and even if he did, there was little benefit. With this adjustment, it has been made easier to move up to spiritual pressure level 2, where some of his awakened actions are strengthened, increasing his chances of attacking. In addition, the benefit of destroying an organ with awakening soul destroying technique 1, puppet show, has increased. And the appearance rate of the heart is increased when spiritual pressure level 3 is reached, so you can change your battle plan depending on whether you want to turn the tables with a spirit destroying technique or steadily destroy the soul. Amazing. It's easier to get that heart. Hopefully they adjusted it so it actually does 7. Neliel to Odoshvank, the last one. Common, Flash Strike, increased recovery time, Flash Attack derivative when using Chase Stock, increased damage dealt, Spiritual Pressure Technique 1, adjusted so that it can be canceled into a unique technique on hit, Spiritual Pressure Technique 2, reduced damage dealt when using 2 or fewer Chase Stocks. In her awakening, her own skill, reduced recovery time, the gauge recovery speed during charging has been increased. In her spiritual pressure technique 1, they increased damage dealt. Adjustment intention. Neliel to Odoshvank has an advantage in combat due to her long-reaching actions and the expandability of her combos using chase stock, but it took a long time to acquire chase stock. In this adjustment, we adjusted the charge speed and stiffness time of her unique skill, preparing for pursuit, making it easier to charge in small increments and fight without being trapped by the opponent's movements. Super duper W patch. I am happy with pretty much all of these changes. I cannot wait to hop online and get some rank matches going. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of rank match videos. I'm going to try to get at least 2 streams a week. One stream where I'm just going through rank matches and just busting out a bunch of rank matches, and then one stream where I am playing room matches with you guys. I missed that a lot, but I just didn't want to play and keep making videos on a game that wasn't making me happy for whatever reason or another. So we are back. We are so back. I cannot wait to try these changes. I hope I like everything, and I might just have to relearn the game from not scratch, but from a very beginner standpoint again. So look forward to more content, and I look forward to seeing you guys in that new content. It's been real. It's your boy Lee the Warlord, and I'm out of here. Peace.
Fuck, I'm a gangsta.